shattering. Okay, so the key piece I want to introduce to you guys here is this is the way that we look at it. This presentation is designed for investors who want to be the CEO of their own wealth building company that's built and managed for them. When we look at you as a new client, that we don't look at you as like a person, right? What you really are is you're a solopreneur, right? An entrepreneur that's a company of one. And you're looking to professionalize, optimize, and scale your investment company to maximize your profits. Because when you look at it through that context, what you see is that the levels of sophistication become very clear. Because most people are just at step one called I'm just investing, or if I'm a business owner, I'm just running my business and maybe setting some cash aside in my bank account. That's the extent of my investing prowess, is I have figured out how to make money and put it into a bank account that earns me interest. I'm going to learn some stuff from Sarah tomorrow. You can see there's much better options to do besides just holding money inside of a bank account for long-term net worth and cash flow. But most of people that you run into in your life and in your circles, this is where they're at. They're actually just at step one. And what they're really trying to do is to find out what needs to happen in step two. The way step two works in a company is it's not you no longer doing anything, but you have systems and processes and team members. Think about any company that builds. That's the natural progression, is that after it's just you, then there's systems and processes of a team that leverage your abilities, the best ability that you have, that then helps you focus on the things that you're best at. But other people have stepped up to do all the other stuff. We call that other stuff the busy work, right? If you're in the business, I hate doing the busy work. I want to do the stuff that actually matters, right? Because that's the stuff you wanted to do anyway. That was the stuff that was exciting. It's the same thing in building an investment company, right? You need to build in your teams, your systems, your processes, and all of your accountability, which means like your meeting structure with it. And after you do that, then what you're able to do is step three, was create a truly passive and scalable wealth building for increased long-term profits and stability. If you just scale assets in step one, what does it typically mean? You don't have a team. The people that get stuck in just step one, these are the people that built themselves a new job. They went from working a 9 to 5, and then what they did is they started to acquire assets, and now all their time is just spent managing all of these assets. So did you actually get free? Was this the life experience that you really wanted? That it was all worth sacrificing and working so hard for? Was just a different job? No, that's not what you really wanted. What you really wanted was this other thing. It's called, I really want to be out of the money game. I want money to be there because I want gas, because I need to put gas in the car so the car can take me on the road trip, so I can go have the different life experiences I'm looking for. And the way that you're able to do that, whether you're building just a typical business selling toothbrushes, or whether you're building a wealth building company, is the team, the systems, the process, and the accountability. And once those are in place, now you have all of the foundations to do this other thing, which is scale the income and scale the output of the business, which is the investments, so you can have more profits, right? Have more stability. And you're going to do it in a way that it's not going to impact your time, because that's what the team, the systems, and the process and the accountability structures were all about. It's the only way that you can scale long-term and scale to the levels that you're likely looking to without it just turning into another job. So if you know me, as I told you guys before, I'm the CEO of Royal Legal Solutions. I'm an attorney, I'm an investor. I'm also an entrepreneur. I invest in every type of real estate, invest in all different kinds of assets, including syndications, including options trading, including all kinds of stuff. Because I've invested where my clients invest. But my story actually started when I was in law school. I actually bought a transmission and auto repair shop during my second year of law school for $10,000 in back taxes. I bought the business and the building, because I knew if I just turned around and sold the next day, I could probably sell all the tools and the stuff for at least $15,000 in this rundown transmission shop. So I was like, heck with it. Let's do it. And I had me and a partner in law school. But it turned out after we bought it, we were like, holy smokes, man, we can actually, if we can rehab this building and we can get this business running, we might be able to flip this sucker. And that's exactly what we did. So we flipped that business and the building to graduate from law school debt free. And this is when I fell in love with the real estate, because the running the business paid all of my bills and a little bit of extra fun money. It was all the cash flow from the business. I'm running that all day to day while I was just learning about what does it actually take to run businesses. And at the same, but what it paid off the law school was the appreciation in the building. And I said, and this is when I was like, oh my God, this was my eureka moment, that I was like, oh, it's investing. It's investing in assets is the path. It's where you can make the big chunks. The cash flow pays for my lifestyle, and the appreciation of what happens inside of the business and inside of the assets that I can then turn around and sell gives me the big chunks of money I need to make the big steps along the way. It was only a year and a half. I was the only person in my law school to graduate without debt and to do this business. So after I did that is when I started investing in single family homes. And this is while I was working for a law firm, suing insurance companies, doing litigation. And so I started doing that in 2012. And what I found out was I wasn't sleeping a lot during that time. And I was like, all right, I need $65,000 a year in passive income to be able to feel like I'm hit my financial freedom number. I was a single guy, right? I was like, I don't need much money. And what I really want to do is climb Mount Kilimanjaro. And I want to go travel through Asia. And I want to go explore the Amazon. I actually don't want to be here doing all this stuff. And so it only took me a couple of years. I got lucky, right? I was able to get into doing some wholesaling. I was able to acquire a bunch of assets that were well below market. And so it took me a couple of years, but I was able to get there to be able to hit my financial freedom numbers. And I did that initially through single family home investing. But that's when I ran into the initial problems. I said, well, now I have all these assets and I want to go just travel the world and go have a bunch of fun. But I realized that I had to do all this stuff with the management of the assets. So I didn't know it at the time, but this is actually when I started to found Royal Legal Solutions, and I started building the company for myself, because I found out what I actually needed was I needed asset protection, because I had a friend of mine that lost over $3 million from a single lawsuit. And I was like, holy smokes, I'm owning all these assets inside of a single LLC. I got to do something that's better than that, because I can't afford to lose this money. Like, this is the money I've made this money so I can go travel. I can't afford to lose it. And then I had issues with the tax people that I was working with. And I was like, man, I'm not really getting proactive tax advice. I need to find my own and develop my own tax strategy and my own tax professionals. And slowly but surely, I built all of these team members in a fractionalized way to be able to help me to be able to get out of the day-to-day of the running of the company, which then I understood was actually just another company. So that way I could go travel and do what I wanted. And as other people asked me for help, as they saw me traveling and enjoying the life I created for myself, that this is what ended up founding Royal Legal Solutions, is that as other people wanted to come on board to have me help them, it was initially just a few people. Then all of a sudden I ended on the Bigger Pockets podcast, episode 109. And I thought, well, there can't be that many people out there that are going to want help with this stuff. And then for about 2 years, I was getting about 30-ish phone calls and emails a day to my personal number and to my email. I actually never intended this to be the company that it is now. I just built this thing for myself, for whatever I needed to go live the life that I wanted to live, and invited a couple of people along. And then bada bing, bada boom, end up on some podcasts. And then all of a sudden you find out that, holy smokes, there's a whole world of people out here that need help with running their businesses, scaling their assets. That works. So we worked with a number of people over the years. Some of these people have really grown big businesses, like Paige Panzarello. She's done over $150 million in total transactions from the syndication and note investing she does. She's also a coach of the cash flow check. And she uses the Delaware Statutory Trust as her defense structure, as a number of different types of assets that she does, and located in California. I've been a client since 2016. D'Angelo Ramsey is the owner of My Outdesk, and he 3X'd his portfolio and his business. When the COVID happened, it was, Daniel's business is virtual outsourcing. So COVID happened and his business just absolutely exploded. And then working with us, we were able to help him drastically scale his portfolio and his business while being close to $0 in taxes. So it was off of any tax dollar that could possibly be saved. Daniel saved it, and he had diversified portfolio as well as a business. Scott Sullivan started working at us in 2017, and he went from 4 to 40 single family homes. Now that's not everybody's dream to scale single family homes, but that's what he was able to do, being able to use the scalability of some of these structures, right? And he focused a lot on the short and long-term vacation rentals. Since then, it's pivoted a little bit for him because, as you guys know, like that market has shifted. And so Scott's been working with us about how to shift his portfolio appropriately to keep performing, since we're in a different climate. And this is who I was telling you guys earlier about, Sean Keiss. Sean Keiss is actually a firefighter. He's our typical type of investor, right? He's a person that's acquiring 2 to 3 new properties a year. He's also in that single family and multifamily space, whereas some of the other people I talked about are much more heavily into the syndications, like Sarah Sullivan offers. And what's important about Sean that I like to underline, given what we were hearing earlier today, is that Sean has his kids, and they're high school age kids, and Sean works with his kids actually inside of his real estate business now. Like, he sits down with them to talk with them through like the P&Ls and how those works. He's looking at the contracts with them. He does deals analysis with them. He just involves them in the business as if they were like an employee, right? And not an employee of the sense like, hey, you're going to do whatever I tell you to do, but it's an employee that says, you are somebody who I'm grooming to take over this business, right, from me. And so what he's doing is he's including them with touch points and all of the CPAs and the attorneys and the contracts, and talking to the renters and talking to people that are offering him deals in the syndication space, and then slowly giving his kids small amounts of responsibility over time, right? So that over time, they're just organically learning parts of the business. And now, after a couple of years of working, now that they actually run most of the business. All right. So it's been about 5 years since we started working with Sean, but the same tools that we learned to train Sean, same tools we help to train his kids. And 5 years later, his kids are running most of the business. And Sean is like, holy smokes, this is kind of wild, man. It's like, I thought most people have to die and then hope that their kids are going to do fine. He's like, I already know my kids know how to do this business. They're just saying like, do I even, what do I really need to do from here? Like, I already know a way to make money. I already understand the investing game. I've already been involved in this. And that's a future and a possibility, I think, for everyone. There's going to be the right ways to do that, right? To make it where this is something that the kids integrate in with their lifestyle. But you can rest assured that people have already figured out how to do this and how to integrate this in with their children for many, many generations, over thousands of years of people motivating wealth and passing it through the kids and making sure that things transition smoothly. So that's something that's important to you. Sean is one of the people that we've worked with and I've worked with to be able to accomplish some of those goals. Because at the end of the day, what this is really all about is about team, systems, processes, and accountability. And to build that turnkey wealth company, that company that essentially builds and runs itself, where you become the CEO of it to make the executive decisions. But the meeting structures, the processes, the systems are the full team for any situation that comes up are already there. So you're not left having to figure it out, because figuring it out on your own is the old way, right? Having to build your own professional teams, trying to figure out all the systems and processes, trying to like create the meeting structures to hold everyone accountable. Ultimately, that leaves you being in a position where you want to pull your hair out. You're having to be the quarterbacking all the information between all the different professionals, which means you're always the smartest guy in the room. Not because you know more about tax than your CPA necessarily, right? Or more than your lawyer necessarily about the law, but because you are the quarterback, meaning that you're the hub for how all the puzzle pieces have to fit together, which is the real decision maker, right? That's what a CEO is actually supposed to be in a company, right? But here in this scenario, Doing it the old way on your own, you're likely there having to figure it all out on your own and create essentially a brand new startup, which you might not be trained how to do. So the old result, in the areas that, like, you end up spending a ton of money on billable hours from CPAs, attorneys, and everywhere else, and hundreds of hours just trying to manage stuff, research it, bring it to their attention, get into meetings. It's terrible. So what it means is that you're wasting time doing research on things that don't apply. You're wasting money on educating the professionals that you're having to work with. You're wasting time and money resolving disputes among the team members when they disagree with each other. You're probably frustrated, if you've done this before, that it's difficult to get any type of real progress. And at the end of the day, you're never actually confident that it's actually done right, because you probably feel in your heart of hearts that you're actually kind of winging it, right? Because you're still the one that's saying, I still don't know everything that's there to know. So despite your best efforts, you're still left without having peace of mind of being able to know that everything is done correctly. So the new way to do this is just get a pre-built team of everyone you need, between your asset protection people, your CPAs, your CFOs, your MBAs, your insurance specialists. So you have all of the team members there, and they have the right systems and processes in place that are already pre-built for here's the right way to run this a wealth building company for somebody that has your types of wealth building, whatever that is, whether that's going to be in syndications or real estate or stocks or whatever the case may be there, or you as a business owner. And then also has a built-in accountability and meeting structures there, so that way that you're already set. Here's the twice a year I'm going to meet with the attorney to cover off on these issues. Here's the type of CPA touch point that I need, whether it's on a monthly or quarterly or twice a year basis, depending upon what your needs are. Or how do I get support if I have particular questions? How quickly can I actually get an answer from my team, right? Can I get that by the next day if I need to? So that way I can move quickly and act and do it in a way where I'm not getting billed hundreds of dollars an hour just to get some basic questions answered. And when you have this new way here with this pre-built team, those are the kind of results that you get. No billable hours. It's all built and managed for you. And what you end up with is you get what's on the cutting edge of whatever is on the investing, tax, and legal strategies that synergize together, because that team is used to working together. You know exactly what you need to do to build your net worth and your cash flow. Your CFO helps you with that. Pete helps you with the tax and with the CFO pieces. You get answers when you need them faster, because all of your questions go directly either to the professional team or to the paralegal team. So you're always dealing with actual professionals, and that you have peace of mind that knowing everything is done correctly and that it's all maintained correctly, right? So you're kept out of the loop on the things that can go wrong, and you're repositioned into the place of where you should be, which is you're the driver of what the investment strategy needs to be to acquire more assets and to make more money. And then everybody else has jobs of what to do with it after you do your magic on going out there, buying the asset. Now, if you try to do everything on your own, this left-hand column here is all of the things that you end up needing to put together. You need to find people that can do your asset protection, who can do the anonymity, who can take care of your estate planning, who can do the tax, who can do your portfolio and investment analysis to see how that is actually going to play into your financial strategy. Well, how should you be using life insurance, if at all, right? And how are you going to get supported? So what you can do is go out into the world and try to quarterback all of these professionals on your own and try to get everybody to learn how to play nice, and then you're stuck in the middle. Or what you can do is look at some different options like Tom Wheelwright or Anderson Advisors or us. And everybody else can do part of it, right? Like they can do the tax and the asset protection. Anderson can do a little bit more with estate planning than Tom. We're the only company that's positioned to really take care of everything at a 360 degree level, right? No matter where you're at. If you're in between 250,000, net worth to 25 million, right? We're a company that is there positioned to be able to help you with all of those types. Sometimes even less. Sometimes people have even lower net worths, and they join and they say, listen, I'm committed to building my company in the right way for scalable wealth. And I want to get started to get there as fast as possible. And I understand to do that, I need to build all of my foundations and learn how they all need to work. And we're the company that's able to do that. So in the summary, all you really have to do to be able to scale your wealth is just use a proven system and team to do the heavy lifting, right? If you can, whatever's proven system and team, you can see it, do that, use them to use a heavy lifting. You need to get advanced tax deductions and shelter strategies on your tax. This is where most people fail. They're paying 25, 30% your tax, right? Way too high. They're not using the appropriate deductions and tax shelter strategies. They're not getting investor specific life insurance. A lot of us want life insurance because it's one of the ways to guarantee what's going to happen to our kids if we die, right? That they're going to be provided for. Because assets, as safe as we think they are, right? Those aren't guaranteed. The cash flow off of the assets we make, the value of those assets can be market dependent. If we really want to bulletproof what's going to happen into our kids' lives, right? Is the only way to do that is a life insurance, right? So to Michael's question earlier, the way that you can do this is you have the life insurance that's there. It has all the cash that's there to pay taxes, be able to handle issues. It's also there to be able to do things with your estate planning, like saying, hey, well, I want to really make sure that I'm able to pay for my daughter's wedding. I want to make sure that I can pay for my kids' education. I want to make sure that I can put them in a house, right? I want to make sure that I'm going to be able to help them start their own business. Whatever the case may be, of what you know are things that are capital that you would want, if you were alive, to be able to support them with. You're not here anymore, but the life insurance that you put in place and combined with the wishes that you outline in your estate planning are there to be able to support them with making the kinds of life decisions and choices where you can support them in it. And the way that you do that is you have a financial backing that's with it. And life insurance is one of the most effective ways, the cheapest, most cost-effective ways as an investor that you're able to do that, right? Just one of the ways that's there for one of the risks. You need to set up bulletproof asset protection to make sure that if you're ever sued, you lose little to nothing. You need a plan for the generational wealth to protect your heirs, right? Which is having the right values, the right way in which you're going to pass them the wealth, as well as making sure that the money is there to be able to help support them in the right way for what you know is the kind of support that they're going to need in their life, your kids' lives growing up, as well as in the future of young adulthood and preparing them to be successful adults. We see the highest level of success of people that are keeping their mind in the game by attending weekly calls and by setting up time to be able to increase their study using the vault, right, or other resources. Continuous education, especially with groups of other people that are actually doing the work and are inside the same business you're in, are one of the best and fastest ways to be able to increase your wealth. And then you want that supported, right? You want the education supported by professionals that's all they do, right? That they work with investors and business owners. That's your attorney team, your paralegal team, your CPA, et cetera. And if you do this, what you're going to do is you're going to free your time. And you're going to free your time to be able to focus on actually making more money. It's the only thing we can't do for you, right, is actually go make you money. And it's the number one thing that if you focus on it is the highest dollar productive activity you can do, right? It's the highest dollar productive activity you can do. Remember before we were talking about, like, I was mowing lawns, right? I was mowing lawns. How much money am I making mowing lawns? Well, why work with inside of investments? Why work in companies? Why build all of these things? That's because ultimately what we're doing, the game of life is played in business, is if for every hour that I put in, how many dollars are going to be generated? And so what are those activities need to be? And for you in your stage of development, that's either focusing on increasing the top line revenue of your business if you have a separate business, or it's going to be on vetting what are the best possible deals you can get into with your investing, how to become a more sophisticated investor, and that everything else in your life gets taken care of so you can just focus on those two things, because the better you focus on those two things, the faster your wealth will be able to accelerate. And if you do this, you will accelerate your cash flow and net worth and have peace of mind. All ships rise with this. You make more money in the long run. You make more money in the short run. You have more peace of mind knowing that things are done correctly. Everybody who operates underneath this system increases their ability to be able to generate extra income. It's just the nature of it works. Everybody wins. Everybody makes more money, right? Just by being more efficient and effective. And we've done this with over 2,000 real estate investors in all 50 states, and just have pages of Google reviews over the years of people that we've worked with. We have testimonials on our website. You've met people here today. We just want to give you context. And it's important for me to give you context about, all the different places that you can look to say, hey, this stuff is real and that it works. Because how it works is really simple. First thing you got to do is plan for a generational wealth, right? Got to make sure our kids are taken care of. So we have this thing called a living trust that helps us avoid probate, keeps our assets anonymous. So that way we pass it to our heirs. It's not all pushed onto the public record and that we get to control it. Then we're going to have some different medical and a durable power of attorney in place. So what happens if we don't die and we're in the hospital? Who can make medical decisions for us and who can make basic financial decisions for us, like pay our mortgages, collect the rents, pay the insurance, etc. You need these types of documents in place so that way people can help you. If you're not dead, but you're injured, you can't make decisions anymore. Those documents allow you to step in. Then you also need some things like, hey, if I didn't put all the assets into my trust, like my clothes and my watches and other stuff like that, well, that's what your will is going to take care of, your poor will. It's going to scoop up everything else you didn't put into your trust during your life. It's going to pour it into the living trust, and it's going to distribute it in whatever way you have it designated in the living trust that you worked with the attorney and then updated once a year about how the assets are going to go and who's going to take care of the kids, etc. Then you also have a living will here, which is, all right, well, let's look at how do I want my end of life to go, right? And make sure that those are going to meet your wishes. Otherwise, it's just some doctor, right? So these aren't always the most pleasant things to think about, but as adults, these are the things we get to think about. We get to make sure that we have a plan for it, that we've thought through it. And because we go through what's uncomfortable to think about now, we will get a better life experience. It's not so bad to have to think about uncomfortable things. It's just uncomfortable. It's just a feeling. You just work through it, through a process. This whole thing to get everything done here, 1 to 2 hours. It's easy. All I'm talking about is a couple hours of your life to get together a comprehensive estate plan when you're working with somebody of our professional team that has the right system and process for how to guide you through it quickly. And it doesn't have to be perfect because we're going to update this once a year. So all you have to do is get it set up. It doesn't have to be perfect. All you have to do is get it set up. It doesn't have to be perfect because we can update it once a year or more often if you want to be able to have it dialed in over time. But not having anything leaves your family exposed. Everything goes through probate, gets pushed to the public record. The government's going to decide who gets what. It's terrible. So with the estate planning, that diagram that I showed you earlier, this is part and parcel of that. This is where the estate plan lives. We have the living trust. It owns the asset holding company and any of your operating companies or any other your businesses. They all tie to your living trust, and everything avoids probate because of the living trust. So it can't get caught up in a court process because everything is owned by living trust. All of your heirs get immediate access to all of the businesses and all of the assets. It doesn't get caught up in some type of legal proceeding. It's very simple. See how everything ties in? Great. Now we need protection. We talked about some of this protection before. Limited liability companies or hub and spoke model, right? They're great, but a lot of times you need a bunch of them if you're going to use them, right? Which means you have a lot of upkeep costs. Series LLCs, infinitely expandable, great for holding assets. It's a great asset holding company. It's really good in 49 states. If you're in California, we recommend using a Delaware statutory trust so you can have a lot of the same benefits of the Series LLC like we talked about earlier, but avoiding franchise taxes. As you get into higher net worth, you may need limited partnerships, right? Or if you're a higher net worth individual now, limited partnerships could be really important for you. And if you're at the upper end of net worths, then you might want to consider looking at offshore LLCs and offshore trusts that we can help you establish. These are things that you spend a ton of money for, and it covers off on that last, 2 to 3% of protection, right? But it makes sense because that last 2 to 3% protection, when you have, $10 million, 5 to 10 plus, it's like, great. Well, I want that 2 to 3% protection because that is going to be worth it to me to spend a bunch of money to have these kind of vehicles in place. But until you're there, don't go there. Just build everything like Lego blocks. Start small where you need to and build into it over time. Because there's a lot of different ways you can do this. You can do this with hub and spoke, like we talked about, with individual LLCs. Wyoming LLCs, it's an anonymous asset parent company. Then individual LLCs in each of the different states where you might own assets or you might be conducting, part of your operations. You can do this as a series LLC, which looks very similar, except that it's just more streamlined for costs and operations than your hub and spoke model. You can do this through a DST structure, like we're showing here. You can do this as a combined structure. We can use a series LLC to own certain assets and then also incorporate individual LLCs like we have here underneath your parent. You might need to do that for financing. If you own apartment buildings, you own commercial buildings, you have other assets that you own that are in individual LLCs, and they can all fit inside of one umbrella company of your asset holding company. So there's ways to mix and match these Lego blocks together. Remember, you don't have to put them all together right now. You can put together some pieces and build as you go. And then after we've protected all of the assets, what do we need to do is we need to get you paying as close to $0 in taxes as possible. So how do we do that? What we look at is our 3 parts here. We think 3 parts are necessary. Your first part is your tax strategy. That's we're looking at all your deductions and your tax shelters and looking at your projections this year. So we can say, great, how much money are you going to make this year? What are going to be the deductions that we know we can take? And what types of tax shelters do we need to put in place in addition to that? Then we look at your portfolio. Let's look at each individual investment. Let's break all the numbers down for each investment and see how that's going to flow through the KPIs for your cash flow, your net worth, and your total tax liability. And that will give you what's called a blended ROI. The amount of money that you're making from the investment plus how much money you're saving in your taxes from that investment. Remember, $1 saved in taxes spends the same, right? Whether we're going to save that because the type of investment we're making, like Sarah's going to talk about tomorrow, gives you bonus depreciation and save you money on taxes, or it's a tax sheltered vehicle, right? That is going to save you money on taxes. All those dollars, they all spend the same, right? And then you want ongoing support, right? Because we know that throughout the year, you need higher levels of intelligence of how to use some of these tools to get the proper analysis so you can know exactly what you need to do. Because ultimately what this is about being able to create the right relationship with the CPA and investment strategist to work through the right tools so that you can answer one critical question. That in knowing what your financial numbers are between your net worth, your total tax liability, and your cash flow, your 3 financial KPIs, what is the exact deal that I'm looking for next? And how many of you have been wondering, I really wonder how my portfolio is really currently performing, and I really don't know what is the exact deal I need next? How many of you have been out there operating saying, I'm just looking for a good deal? And then people ask you, well, what does that good deal need to look like? And you're like, I kind of know it when I'll see it. You need to know, am I looking for a kind of deal that's going to give me a big net worth play? Am I looking for a deal that's going to increase my cash flow in the short term? Am I looking for something that's going to give me a lot of depreciation because I really need to lower my taxes? Because that makes a big difference. And lets you know exactly what kind of deal you're looking for. And with that level of precision, you're then able to make better decisions. So first step, as I told you guys before, is you need to look at your deductions and tax shelter vehicles inside of all of these different types of vehicles. And these are just some of the vehicles that we look at for deductions and tax shelters. You also need to know which one of these will impact your ability to obtain financing and which one of these will not impact your ability to obtain financing. If you're the type of investor that's looking to pursue financing, right? This all comes part of the place. It's not just the financial KPIs, it's not just the tax strategies, but it's also the business side of things, which is how are we going to be acquiring these different assets? And what are those assets going to look like? And are they going to have financing in place? So all of those issues need to be thought through to have proper investment plan in place. So whatever is your income that you have here. We're going to model that out inside of a spreadsheet. Then we're going to push into all the different types of deductions or tax shelter vehicles that may be appropriate for you. That's going to kick you out a certain tax savings number if you put together these types of deductions and tax shelters in place. And ultimately, how is that going to flow to your key financial indicators from your net worth, your cash flow, and your total tax liability? So that's the way we're able to make this determination, and we can hot swap in all different kinds of strategies, looking to be able to see how is it going to ultimately impact our tax savings as well as our key financial KPIs. This is the highest level of intelligence you can get as an investor, right? It boils it down to just crunching numbers on a spreadsheet to tell you exactly what you need to do. And tax savings, as I was telling you guys before, right? You know, we have clients that come in, they'll say, hey, well, they'll say, well, how can I save $6,500 a year in tax? So, well, actually, all you need to do is set up an S corporation. Well, what do I need to do to set up an S corporation? I was like, well, you just get an LLC and we'll do an S corporation tax selection. Well, how much does that cost me? $1,500 to set that up. They're like, that's phenomenal. So you're telling me that for $1,500, I can put together this strategy and it's going to save me $6,500 every single year on tax? So yeah, absolutely. Like, that's crazy. That's a 400% return on investment. A 400% return on investment because of tax savings, because that's better intelligence. That's why better intelligence pays. So what are we showing you here? What I'm showing you here is saying this is what the client's life, if they don't use the Royal Elite, this comprehensive service package that we do, that this is what happens. They just lose the $65,000 over 10 years. But if they took that $6,500 and invested it into real estate, or took that $6,500 and invested it into the syndications underneath the same kind of assumptions that we see with Sarah's deals, that this is actually the return. So the loss isn't then, oh, they lost money on the tax savings. It's saying that you didn't save the money on the taxes. So what you actually missed out on was the opportunity to invest that money appropriately into another asset class like your real estate or into syndications. And as you can see here over time, that $6,500 in tax savings is really a multiple $100,000 decision over 10 years. So do you see here when I was talking about earlier about why is it so important to take action? Because you perceive this as a small move, $6,000. I don't know if it's worth the trouble of doing $6,000. But with the proper intelligence and the proper support, that small move today, executed consistently over time, means hundreds of thousands of dollars difference and money that just wouldn't have gotten created. And that's the real power of having the right kind of intelligence, is to be able to help you see what moves you need to make that are appropriate now. And if you decide to do different things, what will be the impact of those things? Because maybe syndications aren't your whole bag, right? Or maybe not real estate's in our bag, or maybe the stock market isn't. It's just whatever you're going to do to be able to know that if I do these things, what is the future going to look like? Because these numbers are typical for us. $6,500 is easy. Every single person that I come into, we're saving at least that much money in taxes. The average person that comes in is saving about $12,000 on taxes with us. So I can see here that if you're saving $12,000 on taxes, this is an over $500,000 decision. And if you could just save that amount of money on taxes, you're going to lose that money if you don't do anything, right? But if you save that amount of money on taxes and you put it into things that some people would say, oh, those might be risky. Well, yeah, but you're investing it with money that you would have just lost anyway because you wouldn't have done anything with it. Or maybe do something more conservative like real estate. That's a $500,000 decision. If you're like some of the clients that save up to $17,000 plus a year in taxes, now you're focusing on like, this is dang near becoming $1 million decision difference, whether I decide to save the money on the taxes or not. There's many clients that we work with that we're saving 50, 60, 85, over $100,000 a year in taxes. And they come and work with us because, you know, they're making a lot of money and they haven't done anything. They're just sitting there because their CPAs aren't coming to them proactively with doing the kind of modeling that I showed you to say, hey, this is why you should be using these types of vehicles to be able to save this much money on your taxes. And with that, then let's talk about the next piece, which is your portfolio. Okay, now that we have your assets, your current assets that are here, and we have all this extra tax savings, how can we better optimize your portfolio? How can we look at the cash flow and the depreciation to lower the depreciation? That's also an asset, going to lower your taxes, as well as the cap rates of those investments that you're making. And if, let's say you're saving extra money on tax, so maybe there's a line item for here that's saying, hey, this is a new asset that I'm going to buy with the tax savings, right? And that's going to have a certain impact on my portfolio. And so inside of the portfolio analysis and the portfolio strategy is where you start to mix and match the different types of investments that you can make, right? Maybe between the stock market, between real estate, between the syndications, a mixture of these, to be able to say, great, this is how I'm going to balance my portfolio to be able to have the right cash flow, the right kind of net worth growth, and the right kind of depreciation, and that depreciation that I need to help lower my taxes. And you're able to strategize all of that. So now, here's the exact portfolio strategy I'm looking for. So I now know what changes I need to make with my portfolio. And then we can chart out what that portfolio is going to look like over time, given some assumptions. It's like, great, well, if we assume that you're a 25% effective tax rate, you're investing this much money each year, and we're going to split the money between some amount into equities, like the stock market, some into real estate, some into syndication. All right, cool. We can look at what this is going to look like. Your curve here on just investing in the stock market looks like this. With real estate, it looks like this. With the portfolio as a mixed strategy between all of these as a blended strategy, it's going to look like this. And if you went the riskiest thing that you could do, which is pushing everything to syndications, it can look as big as this. And then, so we're able to see graphically, okay, depending upon what I decide to do with my portfolio, here is my course of what my financial future is going to look like. And I know it's the exact perfect financial future that I want because I've drilled down into the numbers into my portfolio analysis, and I've drilled down into the numbers of my tax analysis. So at each section here, I've looked at it with enough specificity to be able to say, great, this is where I'm driving towards, and to hit those goals. Because with that kind of clarity, you're able to make better decisions. So these are the kinds of things that we're able to do in comparison to other providers. But here on the left-hand side, like I showed you guys earlier, these are all of the things that you should be thinking of. Okay, who's going to file the returns, doing the bookkeeping, thinking about my deductions, my corporate strategies, my basic tax shelters, my advanced tax shelters, making sure that we're tracking all the financials to be able to actually hit the goals. Sometimes we're saying, hey, I'm making great investments, but they're actually not in line with the goals. Like I'm really prioritizing how much net worth I'm gaining. But reality is I actually want to leave my job. And to leave my job, I actually need to create more cash flow. So I might be investing in one way because of whatever reason, but it's not actually matching what it is I really want, which is where's my cash flow coming from? And so there's options out there, right? You can look with just, normal CPAs or CPAs that are, inside of investments or inside of real estate, or what we do, right? Which is, it's the specific kind of CPAs and financial officer type of guidance and financial analysis combined with the investment strategist that is able to get you to the highest level of the game of what the intelligence looks like. And then when we fully support all of our clients in a 360-degree way. So we automate all of the company formation, yearly maintenance is all automated and taken care of. Any questions that you have are answered by the next day within 24 hours directly by the paralegal team. 98% of the questions they know, if they don't know it, they escalate it to an attorney for the attorney to be able to weigh in that all the way up to me if it's necessary. All of the documents that you work with us are all digitally stored. They're all available to you. After we build everything for you, you're really free, right? You can take that car, this sports car that we built for you, and any team is going to be able to help you run that car at this point. You're not beholden to us for anything. Our desire is to help train you into how to use that, drive that car over the course of a year, to be able to get fully up to speed on how to be the CEO of this company that we built with you with all the right performing, all the right, with all the right tools and analysis tools and everything. But you're never beholden to us. You're not stuck with us. We're able to do virtual meetings with anybody on the team, and that we do most everything through electronic signatures. So it's all very easy, whether you're on the go and you're traveling, you're doing a lot, you're having your busy life. It's very easy to be able to get into the meetings, get the support, get the documentation you need to be able to handle all those issues. So in summary here, guys, if you work with us and you decide to want to take a look into it, this is what you can look forward to, is that you're going to be able to make yourself anonymous, get yourself protected from litigation, become bulletproof to that. You're going to design an estate plan to protect your family, make sure those assets are passed appropriately, make sure that there's going to be the money there to be able to provide for your family the way that you want to. Looking at life insurance, not required, but looking at life insurance to be able to help do that. Making sure the kids are going to be set up to be able to run this asset company after you're gone, or that your spouse would be able to as well. Our goal is to be able to save you so much in taxes, because we're so good at tax, is that everything that we do for you pays for itself in 3 years or less, right? Our goal is to save you so much in tax that everything that we do for you would generate for you at least a 30% return on investment, because of how much tax that can be saved, which means that everything gets paid for within inside of 3 years to recuperate the investment of what it is to partner with us as a company and as a professional team. You're going to get the golden goose that everybody in business and investing wants, which is, what is the exact thing I need to do, the exact goal, the exact deal I need to get to the cash flow and the lifestyle that I want? Do I need to focus on, net worth for my income protection? Do I need cash flow for the better lifestyle? Do I need bonus depreciation from my investments to save money on taxes?
Sorry about this, everyone. Now, Scott's having a bit of a technical difficulty. I'm not sure if you can even hear me. It looks like his connection froze up. So we'll give him another minute, perhaps he can jump back on here. So sorry about this. I know we're right at the hour, so it looks like he was about to wrap up anyhow. So we'll just give him just a few minutes, but thank you everyone so much for being on. I know I learned a lot from Scott. I always do. I attend most every summit he's been on just because I work with him on his staff, and I always learn something new every time I hear him. So I hope you got a lot out of today's session.
Hey guys, so sorry about that.
We had
I got knocked out. I'm up in my cabin here in northern Michigan, and all the Wi-Fi and the power and Wi-Fi got knocked out. So the beauties of satellite internet. So just joining here from my cell phone. So anyway, and wrapping up like that piece of it, guys, just wanted to encourage you to go to the homepage of Royal Legal Solutions. And if on the homepage, which you're going to be able to see there, if you want to open that up right now, is there's going to be a video presentation, which is the video presentation, which in large part goes over this last piece that I just covered off on here today, as well as directly underneath it. There is the opportunity to schedule a 15-minute discovery call with our paralegal team, our lead paralegal, Lorraine. Every person you talk to at Royal Legal Solutions is always a professional. You're never going to be dealing with anybody that's like a salesperson or anything like that. They're all just professionals that have been with me for years. So I encourage you to go to royallegalsolutions.com and go ahead and just sign up right now for that 15 minutes to be able to meet with Lorraine. At the bare minimum, she's going to be able to help direct you to what are the resources that we already have of the thousands of hours of videos and master classes and ebooks that are going to be most pertinent to your situation. And you'll also be able to talk with her about whether it's appropriate to have a call with the attorney team or professional team and escalate this relationship down that road, right? So go to the royallegalsolutions.com website right now and just schedule that 15 minutes so you have it on there to be able to have that conversation and be able to get that kind of support. There's no obligation to have that phone call with her and to be able to get that kind of help and continue to check us out and join in on some of the people that you heard from here today. There's a ton of people that were from the community, from the Royal Legal Solutions community that were here that you got an opportunity to heard from. I want to just extend my thank you to the Royal Legal Solutions community for joining here on this call today in support of myself and the company, but most importantly, in support to all of the new people that are just now learning about us here today, because it's your commitment into improving the investing for your own life. And your commitment to showing up for others, which is what helps me stay engaged in wanting to continue to build this company and wanting to continue to improve upon it to be able to help as many people as we can get to the life that we all know is possible and that we're all looking to be able to help create for and with each other. So thank you so much to all of the Royal Legal Solutions personnel and clients that were joining in on the call today in support of everybody here. And I encourage everybody, before you go on to the next thing in your day, just go click to the royallegalsolutions.com webpage and go ahead and schedule that 15 minutes with Lorraine. I know you're going to love talking to her. She's an absolute peach and a gem of a person just to meet. So go do that right now. And Tammy, I'll go ahead and turn the mic over to you for setting up for tomorrow.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Scott. So glad you could jump back on with us again. I hope everybody got a lot out of this. Thank you, Scott, for being here. It has been super informative, like I said before. Tomorrow, we're going to continue our summit. Again, it is at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, 8 a.m. Pacific Time. We have Sarah Sullivan from Sugo Capital coming. If you have not heard from her before, she has a syndication that she's going to be speaking about. She also has some other very interesting funds that she'll be speaking on within multifamily, but also in natural resources and other energy funds, and also a gold fund, which all sounds very, very exciting to hear about. So please join us tomorrow. We will be starting promptly at 11 a.m., 8 a.m. And I hope we all see you guys there. So have a wonderful rest of your day. And thank you again for being here. Have a great one.